Welcome to Pageants and Tangents, the cipher is live. I'm Adrian, the founder, keeping this asylum in drive. Next up is Haley, dancer with the crown. Harvard journalism student, the most sensible in town. Then we got Peyton, Miss Georgia Vol with the art. Speed painting, chicken lover, she's the emotional heart. Finally Morgan, waist snatcher, training the best. Mama Morgan off the rails, putting the crew to the test.
Hi guys, welcome back to Pageants and Tangents. We are almost a decade old. When I say decade, I mean this is episode 9. We'll be up to episode 10 soon. Got our normal crew with us. Did we have everyone here last week? I can't remember.
Yes, I think so.
It was peanut butter jelly time.
Oh, that's right.
Peyton has dropped off. Peanut butter, Peter, and Morgan, you mentioned like the peanut butter and jelly with the baseball bat. What was that about? Am I missing cultural context?
I don't know where that came from, but it was definitely something I remember from like high school, college was peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly with a baseball bat. Yeah, do you know where that came from, Peyton? I don't know.
No, but we used to sing that in soccer when I played soccer in high school.
Yeah, it's just, sometimes things just pop up and we have to stay fresh and relevant.
Okay, yeah, that sounds like it probably happened 30 years ago. It sounds like one of those commercial jingles like Folgers. Was it the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup? Even I know that. Oh my God. Anyway, so Peyton is not suddenly a headshot, although that headshot is fierce. She's driving back and currently in Atlanta traffic, which I do not envy at all. So she is obeying the law by only appearing on audio and not seeing the video, just to be clear, because I don't want to get anyone in trouble and I certainly don't want anyone in an accident. But we'll go around the room, get everyone to catch us up. What we're going to be talking about today is how to pick your perfect pageant, because selection is 99% of the game, same as when it comes to dating and choosing who to marry. If you choose the right person, it becomes a lot easier. Morgan is smiling. Morgan loves her husband so much. It's really cute, by the way. Let's see if I can make Morgan...
Nugget.
Nugget. He's like 6'4", isn't he? That's a big nugget.
He's cute. He's
a big nugget.
Everyone thinks that I'm short, and it kind of pisses me off because I'm 5'7". I'm not short. I'm actually, in my opinion, I think above average for the American woman. But
Okay.
I was like, I'm not short. Y'all just aren't used to seeing a tall man. Like, I feel like most women see men and assume like 5'11", 6 foot.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Also, a lot of men, let's be frank, they lie about their height because everyone's
100%.
not dating. And for the record, I'm 6'1", okay? And then when I meet up with pageant people, the first thing I normally hear is, "Oh wow, you really are tall," which means, "Oh, you thought I was lying." Like, no, I'm not lying, and I'll show pictures of me with tall pageant girls, and they can. I don't know why.
The problem is they go on dates with men whose dating profile says 6'1", but then the guy shows up at a solid like 5'9.5", 5'10", and he's like, "I'm 6'1".
Right? You can immediately tell. It's not a good way to start. Like the first thing I notice about you, oh, you lied about your height. What else are you lying about? I mean, look, we won't get. It's not a dating podcast. All right, we're going to go around the room, and we'll get everyone to catch us up with how their week has been. Let me actually throw it over to Peyton first because she's driving. So Peyton, why don't you catch us up with? Well, why don't you start with where you're driving from?
I am leaving Hartwell, Georgia. I just had a little modeling day with Dressing Dreams in the team, and a bunch of our local title holders were able to make it out today, so that was really special. We got some content done. I got my finale gown, and Dalton let me know that my evening gown for Miss Volunteer America should be here in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Nice. So that's so exciting. This week has been a little bit want for me. I went on my second week of my new job, which was fabulous. But around Wednesday, I started to not feel so hot. And Thursday was okay. I still went to work. Friday morning, I woke up and I had to Google whether or not tonsils grow back. You would think maybe I would know that with my medical background, but I didn't. I had to Google if they grow back because my throat was hurting, but it was like I had tonsils all of a sudden, and they were really, really big in my throat. And really, there was only one of them, though. So I did not go to work on Friday. I went to immediate care instead and told her I thought maybe I had an ear infection and like I've had a constant headache and I just overall haven't felt good. and she looked at my neck and said, ew, and said that I have a bacterial abscess in my throat. From what I couldn't tell you, I work in medicine, so I'm exposed to a lot of airborne pathogens every single day, especially in ophthalmology. I'm right up in these people's faces. So one sneeze is all it takes, which is super unfortunate. But I know Morgan's like gagging over there. So I had to get antibiotics, steroid shot. I'm on amoxicillin. I'm on prednisone. So I am all hyped up on prescription drugs right now that are my prescription. Thank you very much. But I'm feeling much better. I still have kind of a sore throat, but the infection is going away. So that's basically my life. I had a fundraiser yesterday at Kendra Scott where we raised almost $1,000 for St. Jude. So that was really fabulous too. So pushing through all of the things, getting all of the things done. We're still trucking over here.
Okay, can you just clarify, what did Google say when you Googled can tonsils grow back?
It said that they, but it's normally within like a certain time period of you having the surgery. I had them taken out when I was 5. I'm probably within that time period anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, that's Peyton catching us up. There's never a boring week in the life of Peyton. And you do sound really perky and really hyper, and now we know it's because of the prescription drugs, which is absolutely amazing. Okay, well, you keep driving safe. We'll go around the room. Morgan, yeah, you're right.
They can grow back?
Yeah, I thought it was no, but
They
apparently
can grow
yes.
back if there is leftover tissue. Yeah, they can. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like like an octopus when it gets his arm cut off and it can grow it back, or a lizard, it sheds its tail. It sounds like a defense mechanism is to leave your tonsil behind.
I'm so disturbed right now. The
Yeah.
concept of that is crazy.
I thought Peyton was joking. I didn't realize they can actually grow back, and now I'm completely disturbed. All right. Well, we don't call it pageants and tangents for no reason. Whilst Morgan swallows her vomit, Haley, how's your week been?
My week was great. I was on spring break, so I learned how to do cat eye gel nails. I like to do gel X. It's really nice for title holders, I think, to be able to do things like that by themselves because you can save a lot of money. So Beetles nail extensions, Beetles gel glue, and then any paints you can find that are HEMA free, I will say, is great because I found out that you can develop an allergy to HEMA, and then if you come in contact with anything silicone or certain types of plastic, it just makes you really itchy. And you get like a contact dermatitis reaction. So I've been kind of cleaning out my nail kit for anything that has HEMA in it. Because it's like you're fine one day, and then the day that you develop that allergy, it's like your fingers are falling off. Like it's really awful if you look at pictures of HEMA reactions from gel nails. So being very careful about that, but I think they look really cool for a first try with the magnet. It kind of has a learning curve. So watch YouTube tutorials. So I did that, and then I got this little bracelet. It has a giraffe on it. But what you do is you buy the bracelet, and then it has a little QR code, and you download the Follow app, and you can scan it, and you find out what animal you got. So I got a giraffe named Bisharo, and I can watch her roam around Africa, and the proceeds support the Somali Giraffe Project, and they upload pictures of the giraffes and videos and things like that, and you can kind of keep up with them. And there's a lot of different animals you can get, so I've been kind of enjoying that too.
That is really cool. Morgan's mind went fairly morbid when she first heard that. I think you guys can I just go back to the nail thing? What did you say people can become allergic to? Was it HEMA?
HEMA, yes. It's
what is it? I've not heard about that.
It's just a common allergen that's in a lot of gel paints. So there's also acrylate. You can develop an acrylate allergy. So looking for paints that are kind of hypoallergenic is really good. So I cleaned out my nail kit and had to throw away a lot of different kinds of paint because I do gel X on myself all the time. And were I to have a reaction, I'd never be able to do gel nails or acrylic ever again. And in pageant land, that's pretty inconvenient. So.
Because I have a good friend who's actually allergic to aluminum, as you guys say. and so there's a lot of things that have aluminum in them, including I think some food coloring. And so she has to be very, very careful, especially when she's traveling, where she gets takeout from. And even when she gets like takeout food delivered and it's wrapped in aluminum foil, she literally has to like use a towel or something to take it off. That's how bad it's gotten. But it developed over a period of time, and then at one point, I guess a threshold, the body just decided no more. And so if she ever gets anywhere near it now, it has a really full-blown like allergic reaction. So it's like, all right, stay away from HEMA. Okay, Morgan, what's your week been like?
I'm learning all kinds of crap about things you can be allergic to, apparently. Week's been fantastic and had 4 babies compete at A Crown Above this weekend. So very proud of them. I got to watch. It was a long pageant, y'all. It was like almost 5 hours. Started at 4, ended at like 8:48 p.m. Yeah. So got to watch my girly pop. So you will be seeing me posting them this week on my reels, because it's officially like pageant season is here. Like we are back, baby. Like we are freaking back. And so, yeah, that's it. Still running my giveaway. So girly pops have a little bit longer. It ends on March 31st. So if you're an active client or you become one, you can enter and you'll get free coaching for 6 months if you win.
Active client. But like,
not
if you're following on Instagram. Active client.
I'm watching how many views come through and I'm like, yeah, what's up, guys? Hi. And yeah, that's it. I had some interesting adventures this weekend, and I have officially gotten started on creating my Miss USA outfit that I'm going to be wearing to Miss USA this year. And I'm having a friend custom make a really awesome top for me, and her name is Emma Knapp. She made a gorgeous piece for Savannah, who was Miss Georgia this year, for interview. So she's making a top for me to wear to Miss USA, so I will keep y'all posted on how that's going. It didn't start off too well, but I'll save everyone the gory details.
You didn't spare us the gory details.
No,
we got all the gory details.
There's no such thing as TMI in this family. You guys hear everything. It's incredible.
Isn't it that meme of how it started versus how it's going?
Yep.
So how it started, hopefully, is going to be very different to, because I don't want, like, if we go to USA and I'm there, I don't want you repeating that experience by the sound of it. No. Okay, thank you.
No, I think we're good. We'll be safe. You are safe.
I can't wait to see the result. Although I will say, I keep getting USA news, like not Miss USA, but American news, and something's going on with your TSA, like TSA agents are not getting paid. And so there are these massive queues at the airport. So I'm just looking at it, like, is it even possible to fly into America anymore? Because it sounds like every day there's a new disaster. I'm going to stay away from it. I'm not going to say anything else. Enough said. Peyton, you keep dropping on and off. Can you hear us?
Yes, I had clicked the link through Instagram, and you guys kept all of a sudden cutting out and then sounding like chipmunks. And so I kept having to come back and come back on.
That's cute. I love chipmunks.
Yeah, it was cute, actually.
Adrian and the Chipmunks.
It takes quite a lot of work to make me sound like a chipmunk. It's like when Morgan Freeman took in helium. It's like he still sounded like a normal person. Anywho, let's get into today's topic. I just want to be mindful of Peyton driving. I don't want to keep her on too long. We're going to talk about how to pick your perfect pageant. Now, I'll set this up. I really, really think you should put some effort, some thought into deciding which pageant you go into. I think the biggest mistake is that you just go into one because you think it's the biggest one, or you get bedazzled by the prize pool, or even if you look 20, 30 years ago, and let's say someone you look up to did it, or your mum did it, or your older sister did it, doesn't necessarily mean it's the right fit for you. But also, I think Miss USA is a really good example. Obviously, it's changed hands, quite publicly so. And so that's really changing now. So I would question whether what USA was doing last year or 2 years ago versus 10 years ago versus when you watched it with your mum 20 years ago, I don't know that that same thing exists. So we're going to go around the room and I'll get the crew to tell you a bit about their pageant stories, how they picked the pageants they decided to enter. And then hopefully, guys, if you have any questions about, I'm talking to the audience here, if you have any questions about, what we recommend or how we go about things, put them in the comments and I'll put it to the crew. But I'll go with Peyton again, just because she's dropping in and out. So whilst we have her, so Peyton, a bit about your pageant history, if that's okay, and then what you look for in a pageant, and obviously leading to you joining Miss Volunteer America.
Yeah. I had no prior pageant experience except maybe I think that I entered into my middle school pageant one random year. My mom didn't want me to do it, but I was like hell bent that I was going to try this pageant. And I did, and I had fun, but it wasn't anything like the experiences that I've had now. So fast forward to, what was that? I guess 2022, I think. Yeah, it's been about 4 years now. I was coming home from working at Walt Disney World and really missing a lot of the glitter and the lights and the hairspray. You know, that smell when you walk into a hair and makeup room. I was really missing it. And I convinced my best friends to compete in our local county fair pageant. I had always wanted to do it. My birthday's in October and I was about to age out like the very next year. So it was now or never. So for my birthday, I had them compete with me. Something like 25 girls showed up for that pageant, which is kind of crazy if you think about it for a local fair pageant, especially in Rome. And I ended up winning Miss Coosa Valley Fair that year. And I really just had fun connecting with the judges. The interview was fun. There wasn't any talent or anything. It was really just interview and evening gown, basically. But the owners of that pageant were also entangled in the Miss America organization and reached out to me and told me that I really needed to keep going. Actually, the lady that reached out to me was my cousin's grandmother's neighbor. So she was able to get my phone number pretty easily to make that phone call and trying to get me involved. And I asked her when the next local pageant was. I really didn't even know Miss America was still a thing, to be honest with you. I didn't grow up watching it with my mom. We watched like the Victoria's Secret fashion show, and that was as close as me and my mom got to watching Miss America or Miss USA. So the very next weekend, 7 days later after the fair pageant, I competed in my first Miss America local and wound up winning a title then as well. I threw together a talent as quickly as I could. I have a background in theater and acting, and so I figured I could pick a song and hold a tune fairly well. And that was just my initial reaction to that. Won't ever do that again. But in figuring that out. So, and I just fell in love with the process, right? And I feel like that's what a lot of these title holders will advise you to do when you're in a new system or you're in pageantry for the very first time, is really trying to find your love for the process, because ultimately we're not all going to walk away with the wins, and we are going to lose more times than we ever do win in this industry. So it's important to love how you're growing in it and love the process of the specific pageant system that you're in. And I loved the Miss America system as well, but I'm all about expanding myself, growing myself, trying new things, like 100% part of my brand, love doing it. So I actually went 1 year and decided to try out the USA system. I went and competed at Miss Georgia South USA, which is like the Super Bowl of the South is what they call it over here. It's really one of the only locals that we had for Miss Georgia USA. And I wound up getting third runner up there. So that felt great, especially being brand new in this system and having so many girls having competed for that title so many times. That really upped my confidence, and I really liked that system as well. But I went and tried volunteer. Russell Kirby, the director of Miss Georgia Volunteer, is a very persuasive man, and he was not going to take no for an answer when he reached out to me and encouraged me to come compete for their pageant, which was just about a couple of weeks after Miss Georgia South USA. And I went and competed. I got first runner up. But what really stood out to me in this whirlwind of trying all these pageants all at once when I had no experience before was truly the heart that the volunteers in this organization poured into it. I had never felt, now I had, let me not say never, but it was just an overwhelming sense that these people cared about me. They cared about my personal life. They cared about my academic life. They cared about my professional life. Like every aspect of who I was felt genuinely loved and cared for by this organization. specifically by the Georgia Volunteer Organization, because I had, again, not gone to nationals. I hadn't even watched nationals yet. I was just taking this all at a whim. And I was in love with feeling loved, with feeling seen, with feeling heard and understood and accepted, right? Because I do have a non-traditional talent, and it's not always looked at in a positive light. So to have the whole board be behind, you know, having a title holder that was going to have an exciting and new talent and bringing something new to the scene, rather than, you know, questioning whether or not it would do good on a national stage, has been so heartwarming for me walking into this, and something that was really important for me personally. So I think going into these things, you have to keep in mind and keep an open mind. Be okay with not fitting all the way into one pageant system when it was just the idea that you had in your head that you would love it and you would like it and you want to be that title holder. That's not always God's path for you. Sometimes it's something completely different or completely opposite. So just always keep an open mind when it comes to pageantry, and when it comes to anything in life. Be open to trying new things, different things, things that make you feel uncomfortable at first, because you never know what's on the other side of that door.
Got it. And just to clarify, so Peyton, because Peyton mentioned that she sung originally for her talent. She's now a speed painter, for those of you who don't know. And Peyton, just so you know, I'm going to show everyone at home the book, right? So Beginner's Guide to Pageantry, which Morgan was kind enough to write the foreword for. And one of the first chapters is choosing the right pageant for you. And in it, I basically say, write down what are you looking for in a pageant, like a checklist, then do your research and give that pageant system a score out of 10, and then really just look at it quite objectively. I've got a table here I'm showing everyone, Peyton. Give it a score out of 10, and whichever pageant scores the most, that's the one you probably want to go for. So if I can just ask you, Peyton, before I move to Haley, if I was to ask you, what are your what criteria would you be looking for in a pageant? So for example, here I've got, as an example, strong community service focus, low entry fee, no swimwear around, clear judging criteria, responsive to emails. I mean, you could have any criteria you want. What would your maybe top criteria, 1, 2, or 3 criteria be if you were researching a pageant?
I think number one, it would be obvious visibility of empowerment of the women and title holders within that organization. I want to see it all over their socials. I want to see it all over all of the announcements that they post about the upcoming pageant. I want a pageant system that is obsessed with creating young women that will transform the future of the world, not just their pageant system, not just the face of the, you know, whatever. I want a pageant system that is pushing these women forward to, yes, be their title holders, but also be the change makers within the world. So that's number one for me. Number two for me would be a pageant system that treats us like we're human beings as well, right? This is coming from a title holder perspective. You want a humanized title holder. Look at the national title holder. Look at the state title holder. Is she able to represent herself authentically on her social media page? Because I feel like some pageant systems don't, right? They put limitations on what you're allowed to post, or what they would like you to post, or how they would like you represented, right? And you want to look for someone that's not being held so tightly, you know? I mean, they obviously shouldn't be posting anything crazy. As title holders, we're definitely responsible for being representation for the younger generation. So you want to hold yourself to a certain standard alone. But, you know, having the freedom to be yourself on social media, show your personality, be who you are, but also be the title holder, I think is super important. And then I personally love a scholarship pageant. I love a pageant that is pushing forward for education. I think education is so important. Do I think everybody needs to go to college? No, I don't. I don't think it's for everybody. But I think for the people that do, and they want to go and they want to further their education, it should be more accessible. And I think that scholarship organizations like this is the exact way that we make education more accessible for people that are searching for higher education. So that would be like my top 3.
Yeah, I think that's a great top 3. And we'll go around to Haley and then Morgan. But similarly to yourself, in Australia, scholarship pageants are really not a thing. And so when I found out about Miss America was my first port of call, and then seeing what they do, the amount of scholarships they provide, and, you know, assuming that everything is above board and you actually get the scholarships you're supposed to, and I know that sometimes it's an imperfect world, but it's very concrete to say if you win our pageant, you get XYZ amount of money to go towards your education. And education is incredibly important and not cheap, at least in America in this day and age. I think Morgan with her, in fact, Haley as well, because you're both doing postgrads now. I don't want to know how much it costs. I think because I've already talked about vomit once. I don't want to vomit again. But yeah, scholarship money is very, very real in a way. I think it's very, very practical and useful. All right, cool. So that's Peyton's journey. Haley, what about yourself? What was your journey? What do you look for if you were to be joining another pageant?
It has been about 7.5 years and over 20 pageants in many different systems. And I've been to a lot of different places. And I think where you have to start when you're choosing a pageant system is asking yourself what the brand is and what they're looking for in a title holder. And you can tell that by their mission statement, by what you find on social media, by the work that their title holders are doing, not just at the national or international level, but at the state level as well. And that kind of tells you whether you're a good fit. And that's not to say that it's going to be easy, because I think we know that there's a certain amount of personal growth and challenge that comes with any pageant competition. Maybe you're nervous about interview. Maybe you have to give a speech as a component of this pageant, and that's not your favorite thing to do. You might have to get over some of that to compete in a pageant that you like, that's a good fit for you. There's always going to be some amount of pushing your boundaries that's going to happen. But it shouldn't feel like you're tying yourself in knots to fit the brand. If you think you have to go change your entire look and your entire wardrobe and your platform and what you're passionate about and your personality, you're probably in the wrong place. And I think I have a lot of funny stories about things I experienced at pageants where I knew that I was in the wrong place. And that led me to different locations where I was happier. Okay. But it's not just, when we get to top 5 or top 15 that you know that something is the wrong fit for you. You can be successful in a system and be the wrong fit because you don't like it. And that's okay. That happens too. So sometimes you see girls who are not being crowned because they're in the wrong place. Sometimes you see girls tying themselves in knots to fit in somewhere and placing, but they'd be happier elsewhere. So just be mindful of that. If you feel like you don't enjoy being in an environment, store that knowledge and maybe try something else.
Yeah. So if I throw it back to you again, Haley, so in terms of the criteria that you would be looking for, and I'm just reminded of something I wrote in the book, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I place an enormous amount of importance on who the director is, because I really think that your director is going to be your experience of the system, assuming that you guys have a lot of interaction with your directors. So if I throw it back to you, Haley, before I go to Morgan, same question, with your criteria, what would be like your top 1, 2, or 3 criteria if you were researching a pageant?
How an organization communicates with you as a state title holder getting ready to go national is the same as the way they communicate with their title holders after they've won. So I think communication style is a massive one. You see a lot of pageants that are run via Facebook groups. Personally, that is my least favorite thing to see. So if a pageant's run off of a Facebook group, that is an immediate no for me, just because it feels very disorganized. So I think communication is a big part of it. Fairness. If you watch the past few years pageants and you're repeatedly confused by the results, might not be a good idea for you to compete in that one, because you never really know, right? And then I think how much you align with the brand is a massive component. And there's a lot of things that go into that, but you do want to think about that.
Right. Just before I move to Morgan, Haley, you said you had a few funny stories. Just a general question, how long does it take for you to realize that you're in the wrong room, or that the vibes are, let's say, not immaculate?
It depends. Can I tell you a story?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. So when I was 18 years old, I competed in a pageant system. And as much as I appreciate the detective skills of the pageant girlies and the pageant moms, please don't go try to figure out which one it was via my Instagram. I'm not going to tell you where it was. And I competed in a number of different pageants when I was 18. So don't go sniffing around for that. Okay. I was in my interview And I believe there were 8 judges, and it was an all-female panel. And I think the interview was 5 or 6 minutes long. And we're in the middle of it, okay? And this judge looks me dead in the face and goes, "Do you feel like you have to wear makeup every time you leave the house?" With that exact tone. And I just kind of laughed it off and was like, I have my everyday makeup routine, and then there's pageant glam, but no, I don't feel like I always have to have makeup on when I leave the house. And this judge rolled her eyes at me and didn't ask me any more questions. In that same interview, I was asked who my favorite Disney princess was. Reminder that I was 18 years old. Okay. So I walk out
It's a
of
really
this
grown-up question, isn't it? Really mature level question.
Really interesting, yeah. So when I get out of this interview, I go back and I look at the program book again, because I had read up on who the judges were before I went in there, but I checked again afterwards because I wasn't totally sure who it was that had asked me the makeup question. And I realized she was a former pageant queen that was a body positivity influencer. And the majority of her audience is young pageant girls. So a little note to judges, right? If you're judging a lot of pageants and you're interacting with, I'm going to say there were 70 girls in my division alone.
Wow.
If you are particularly standoffish or rude as a judge to your fan base, that doesn't always translate super well for you personally as a brand, just FYI. But I walked out of there and I was kind of like, I don't feel like this is for me. I don't think I really enjoyed that. Those didn't feel like questions that I would ever want to answer or topics I would want to cover as the title holder for this system. And I know some of you are probably hearing this and you're like, Haley, those are easy questions. Like, I get those questions all the time in the system or systems I like to compete in. Why is this bothering you? I love that for you. Okay. I don't love that for me. And I went somewhere else and I had more fun in that other place. So it could be at check-in. You could be meeting people and you're like, I don't like the vibes. The vibes are off. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not clicking with these people. Things happen. But you might know before you get to the results that you aren't a good fit.
Yeah.
And that happens.
Yeah,
You'll feel that.
I mean, the whole point of this is that people look for different things. And so some people love easy questions. I particularly dislike them. Like my most hated interview question is, if you could be a tree, what tree would you be and why? And I just feel like answering that one with a why are you wasting my time? Because I look at it the same way as tests or exams in school. Like if you get a really hard one, that actually gives you a chance to separate from the competition. Whereas if it's a really easy one, you can't show what you're made of. I think one thing that's interesting, you said the rolling of the eyes. I don't know if Morgan knows this, but Morgan is a psychology nerd, much like myself. There's this relationship expert who will watch couples. They're going through marriage counseling. They'll watch couples like discussing things and arguing. The number one predictor of whether a marriage is going to break up is actually the way they handle when there's a slight disagreement. It's actually the rolling of the eyes. Wow. So, that's like one of the biggest predictors that a couple is not going to make it, is that one of them rolls their eyes at the other. So in this situation, definitely sounds like that was not the right pageant for you, Haley. Just before I go over to Morgan, Peyton pointed out, if she's still there, that she was a Disney performer. So I do want to Peyton, who's your favorite Disney princess?
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard one for me.
You only can pick one, only one.
Growing up, it was always Ariel. That was my favorite movie. That was my favorite princess. And now my hair is red. So I guess we have to stick with still Ariel, even though there's so many qualities that I love about each of the girls so much.
Okay. All right. Do you want to sing A Whole New World? No, that's Aladdin. With Under the Sea.
Under the Sea. You don't want me to.
Well, I kind of do. Did you guys see there was a viral clip on doing the rounds about someone translating the Lion King lyrics as to what that song meant?
Yes.
Apparently, now I don't know if this is right. Did you just see today he's getting sued for $27 million?
No, he is not. What?
I don't know if this is real or not. I just saw it on TikTok. But apparently, like, the person who wrote that song is basically suing him for defaming what the song actually means. Although apparently from what I've read, it actually does mean that. Obviously, there's different translations. But if you guys don't know, there's someone who said the Lion King song, when I think it's when they hold up the lion, the new cub, the song basically means, oh, look, a lion. Oh, my God, a lion. And now he's getting sued for $27 million. So
There's no
my
way
gosh.
that won't hold up, right?
No,
Like,
that's crazy.
it's not defamation if it's factual. I literally
Right.
just
you can be
translated
sued.
it.
But you can still be sued. It may not hold up, but you can still be sued.
It's insane.
Honestly,
Haley? We're doing the research.
people need to get beat up more. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
schoolyard fight.
Okay.
Organ violence.
So, Learn More Genasi is a comedian that was on America's Got Talent. I've been wanting a comedian to win America's Got Talent for like the last decade that I've been watching it. Okay. And I loved Learn More Genasi. And he is the one that did that bit about what the song means. And he slightly mistranslated it. Okay. But he is being sued for $27 million in a California federal court by the Grammy-winning composer who wrote the Lion King song.
Yeah.
And he says that it is actually a sacred royal praise chant that translates to "All hail the king, we all bow in the presence of the king." So he did mistranslate it, but it's also hilarious. But
He's also a comedian. Can we just point out
That
it's
part.
supposed to be funny?
he's hilarious, by the way, if you haven't
You
seen his
can't
work.
you can't say anything now. Everything has to be prefaced with allegedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly
Allegedly.
to everything I just said, by the way.
Allegedly,
watch
my
out,
name is
Haley.
Adrian. Yeah. There was in terms of other silly lawsuits, alleged silly lawsuits by alleged celebrities. Katy Perry, the singer, sued a fashion designer here in Australia because her name, the fashion designer here, is Katy Perry, and she used her name, Katy Perry, which I think, if I recall correctly, is actually even spelled differently. But Katy Perry, the singer, whose real name is not Katy Perry, sued the Australian Katy Perry, the fashion designer, whose real name is Katy Perry, for some amount of dollars, and like you're not allowed to use the Katy Perry name anymore, and that got thrown out of court. So I was very happy with that, regardless of what you think about Katy Perry, the singer. I'm like, you're going to sue someone from over the other side of the world so that they can't use their own name? I mean, it sounds ridiculous.
When it's not your name, yeah, that's insanity.
Exactly.
And I like Katy Perry, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
There's a similar trademark lawsuit for Chloe's Giant Cookies. So there's a TikTok creator with a business called Chloe's Giant Cookies, and her name is actually Chloe, and she's being sued by a couple that has a brand called Chloe's Cookies. Their name is not Chloe. I don't know what the result of that is. I don't think that's concluded yet, but you can look it up. It's entertaining. There's a lot of TikTok videos about it.
I'm not going to give the people enough tea on this, but you three remind me to talk to you guys about a lawsuit that I saw happening with one of the pageant systems once we get off
I think I know what you're talking about.
Girl!
Okay, I'm very curious to know this. Can I just say, before I get Morgan to walk us through her criteria in terms of what she'd look for in a pageant, if she was ever to do one again, one of the things that confused me when I first entered the land of pageantry was how similar different names were. That really confused me. So if you look at Universe, right, there's obviously Miss Universe, but then there's Mrs. Universe, and then there's other ones that have Elite, and then Ms., and then International, and then Supreme. And I just started thinking it sounded like a pizza topping, right? When I first heard, oh, so-and-so Supreme, I'm like, okay, so next one's going to be Miss Universal, Miss Universe Pepperoni, and Miss Universe with extra cheese. I was like, can't you guys come up with your own names? Like, why? Especially like if it's Miss Universe and Mrs. Universe, those two, it kind of insinuates that there's or Teen Universe, which I know is another one. And I just assumed, oh, they must have, they're different branches of the same brand. And then I found out, actually, no, they're completely different. And that really confused me. See, you could be, now whether I agree in the Chloe's Giant Cookies, my understanding is that if people could confuse your brand with the other one, then you have grounds for a suit. But if it's Chloe's Giant Cookies and Chloe's, I guess a judge has to say something. Haley, you got your thing?
Yeah. So there was a contestant here who was competing for Miss Pennsylvania Teen USA, and
Right.
they did a local news piece on her and said that if she won, she would compete for Miss Teen USA, which is true, and that if she won that, she would compete at Miss Teen Universe, which is obviously not correct. So if you're new to pageantry and you're doing local news, check that. Research that
Get the names right.
thoroughly. Yes. Also, Princess America and Princess of America are two different brands.
It's
Just
so
to make it
That
confusing.
close. It's that close.
stupid.
Mhm.
I've been in this industry 10 years and I don't know all the names. But can I just say, one bugbear that I have is when people deliberately, and I'm sorry because I'm sure there's going to be someone who hates me for saying this, but when people deliberately use the wrong name in their pageant bios to get extra clout. Now, I'm going to call out the Australian girls here because a lot of them are guilty of putting in their pageant bio Miss Australia. Now, there is no pageant that is Miss Australia, but when you put it that way, my bugbear is that it makes it look like you compete against all the other Aussie girls and that somehow you won. But if it's Miss Australia Intercontinental or Miss Universe Australia or Miss Earth Australia, you need to put that in your bio, not just say I'm Miss Australia, because you're giving yourself clout that is inaccurate. That wasn't your title. Now, there is Miss Australia pageants, but that crowns different titles, I think, like Miss Intercontinental. So you'd never call yourself Miss Australia. And that really irks me. If you get it wrong, if you get it because you just, misspoke, that's one thing. Like, because Miss USA now, Haley, isn't it Miss USA Universe? There was a change in
Miss
lingo, right?
Universe USA.
And the order is important, guys. So Miss Universe USA. But no one in America just says, oh, I'm Miss USA. Unless you're Miss USA. Or Miss America, unless you're Miss America. So please don't do that. It really bugs me when you say, I'm Miss Australia. No, you're not. There's no pageant called Miss Australia. Unless, look, I could be wrong, and if I am, correct me. But that really bugs me. Don't do that, okay? Morgan is laughing at me as usual and turning her mute on and off. Is Sydney barking?
No, our neighbor has a golden retriever, and literally this neighborhood we're in, I could throw a rock and hit their house. I haven't met the golden retriever yet. Typically, you assume they're very kind and polite, but when I was on the back porch the other night, we were taking the dogs out to let them use the bathroom, and he barks. He barks at the wind. He barks at a bug. And I didn't realize his mom and dad were out on the porch with him, and I was like, shut up. And then I heard his parents talking, and I was like, crap. And Josh was like, well, there's one great way to meet the neighbors. And I was like, so yeah, he keeps losing his mind, which is why I'm muting it just in case there's a little bit of sound feedback on there. My perfect angels are being very quiet because they know mommy is working. Precious
I never
babies.
blame the dogs. I only ever blame the owners. I made
It's
that
the same
distinction
thing
a
for
long
kids.
time ago. Yeah,
To
100%.
me, kids and dogs are the same. It's not about the breed or anything else. It's literally about the owners and the parents. Like, if your dog sucks, it's because you're a crappy dog mom.
Yeah, that's why I have this aversion to the tiny yappy dogs, because I feel like they nip at you and they bite at you, and then the person very often will go, oh, aren't they cute? And I'm like, that's not cute. I don't like it. And the only reason they get away with it is because when they're small, people think it's cute. If it was a Doberman, a giant, whatever it is, a wolfhound, if it was nipping at you playfully and it took your arm off, no one's going to say, oh, isn't that cute? So that's why I don't like the tiny dogs.
I feel like
prefer the
people are
big dog,
scared
dogs.
to like spank their tiny dogs. Oh, y'all don't come for me. I feel like someone's going to be like, animal abuse. But like, I feel like people, when they have small dogs, they're afraid to discipline them.
Yeah.
You can discipline your small dogs.
You can
Get
also
a spray bottle of water.
I'll throw myself under the bus here. You can also discipline your kids. You can and should. Please and thank you very much. As someone who worked with a lot of young kids, a disciplineless kid is not someone who plays well with other kids, and no one wants to teach them. You are not doing yourself a kid a favor if you never discipline them. Please, I'm not saying you need to beat them, okay? I'm not saying that, but discipline, right? There are ways that you can discipline both dogs and children without resorting to physical violence.
You were talking about eye rolling, and all I could think was like, Josh and I have been married 10 years. I've maybe rolled my eyes at him once, but I genuinely believe part of that is because my mother growing up, if I rolled my eyes at her, she would have
Oh,
snatched my soul out of my body.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no need to call child protective services. Like, this woman would have laid me out. Like,
Hmm.
you do not roll your eyes in my family.
No, no.
You
I
will
come from
catch
an
it.
Asian family. I don't know if you guys have seen like on TikToks and things. Now it's okay to make fun of it, but you know, people with flip flops and things like that. Like you never annoy an Asian mum, because if you do,
Oh, you're
you're going to
catching
be
it.
put in your place real
You're catching
quick.
it.
So I completely understand where you're coming from. Never mess with a mum.
No,
We talked about on International Women's Day, right?
they're
We don't
thugs.
mess with our mums unless we want something really, really bad to happen. I'll just
Facts.
leave it at that. Morgan, so if you entered a pageant famously, if
I
you were to enter another pageant, or you know, you're obviously coaching a lot of girly pageant girlies now, what would you advise them in terms of what you should look for?
Okay, so I feel like I'm the caution story because Peyton and Haley have like they have valid reasoning for why they did things. I just it was like checking a wet noodle. I just threw it at the wall to see if it would stick. Like I had no reasoning behind the pageants I chose to compete in. The last system I competed in was the USA system. I wanted to be Miss USA. What are we talking about? Like USA was glamorous, it was cool, and I
Yeah,
didn't have a talent. And at the time, doing her story or like spoken word or something wasn't really. It was pretty much
yeah,
overlooked in like the late slash early 2010s. Um,
yeah,
so I just a USA. My mom, they'd be like, oh, they'd ask my mom like, what's her talent? And my mom would be like, bikini. Per queen. Pop off, Buffy. We love you for that. So with that being said, what I would tell my queens, I will never do a pageant again, so we can
okay,
write that bad boy off. I do
okay,
joke about doing USA every once in a while just so I can tell my girls like just so I can be backstage with them and like making sure everything's perfect and they're Gucci. And then if for some reason I made
yeah.
finals, I would just Little Miss Sunshine crawl across the stage to get myself eliminated. Sorry, Tom. I'm joking. Maybe.
You're
Um,
not. You're not. The thing is, you're absolutely not. You
I'm
100%
shameless.
would do that.
I would do it and it would be freaking hysterical. So, what I would tell my women to look for, first and foremost, having your checklist, doing comparisons, figuring out what's going to be the best for you, just like your book tells us, like
Mm.
have the pros and the cons and figure it out, score it all, see what comes out at the top. Iconic, yes. Figure out what divisions you actually want to compete in. Like if you don't want to be in a swimsuit, don't look at
Yeah,
USA or volunteer. It's not freaking happening. So
yeah,
100% figure out your divisions. I think a lot of times I'll have clients who'll enter certain pageants and then they're like, yeah, I don't really know how I feel about fun fashion. I'm like, but then why are you doing a pageant where fun
yeah.
fashion is a requirement? So figure out your divisions. Another thing that I'm really supportive of is doing your research in regards to getting feedback. I'm trying not to hit things that Haley and Peyton have said. Getting feedback from the women who've competed.
Yeah.
Because I do feel sometimes they will lie to you and they'll blow smoke and be like, it was the best experience ever. And like, they're probably not telling the truth, or maybe they are. I don't know. But
Sometimes,
if
can I just say, Morgan, sometimes they're contractually obligated to actually only
that
say
part.
positive things as well.
That part. So I would say if you can get feedback from someone that you maybe didn't even win, someone who's competed in the system
That's what
and
I say.
didn't win, that
Yeah.
might be a safer bet. Get feedback from the girls. What was your experience like? What was it like working with those directors? Because I'm going to tell you, like,
Mm.
pageant to pageant, the directors that you work with can very much affect your
Yeah.
experience with if you were to win being a title holder, but even with competition, it can affect your experience. And so I'd get feedback from your humans, and I would look into what you're wanting to promote as a title
Mm.
holder if you were to win. I think that's one thing where I with a couple of the pageants I did, like looking back afterwards, I was like, yeah, that wasn't gonna be a good fit for your girl. Figuring
Yeah.
out what they want you to promote and what you want to promote, because if you're not big into like service, then you probably don't need to be doing Volunteer America. Like if you don't want to be out doing things like that, you're wasting your time. So those would be my suggestions, but my main one that I cannot lean into enough is getting feedback from humans that you think you can get honest feedback from, because everyone's going to have a different experience, yes, but also if you can save yourself a headache, do it. And if that can help you find your system faster, do it, because anytime a pageant is recruiting, they're going to, I love all pageants. I'm not trying to sound mean when I say this. It's like going to buy a car. They're gonna sweet talk the crap out of you, dude. Anything you want to hear, they're gonna say it, because obviously they want you to compete for their pageant. Yes, they want great title holders, but also that's how they make money, is girls competing in their systems. Like they make money off of it. So if you can get honest feedback from some people that you actually trust to give you honest feedback, that's gonna be the plug right there.
Yeah, that's almost a dirty little secret that no one really wants to talk about. And I find it the same from a coaching perspective. I've actually, in recent weeks, turned away a couple of clients because I just don't want to work with them. Not because they're bad people, but because I'm not the right person for them.
Yeah.
And I think in a one-on-one situation when you're coaching, it's important that you want to work with a person. Like you can't force me to work with you and think that's going to work out well. When it comes to asking title holders, I know that contractually sometimes the title holders are literally boxed into it's not even non-disclosure, it's non-disparagement, which I don't understand how that's even legal. That's another matter. But what I've said, sometimes title holders, like a title holder, if they've had a bad experience and they really want to help you out, but their hands are tied, I've heard of some title holders who will say, let's jump on a call, because they don't want anything to be screenshotted with text or voice messages, recorded. And that's the lengths that some people will go to be honest with you, which is amazing. I suggest, if you, like what you said, Morgan, message people other than the winners. Like message a person, maybe the first runner-up or someone who's come first runner-up like 7 times in a row, because they're probably going to have they'll be honest with you. But also message a person who didn't place in anything. But also get yourself around coaches who will tell you the truth. This is the thing, because sometimes coaches are as guilty of the systems themselves as just saying, yes, absolutely, do a pageant. It's not even should you do a pageant, it's like which pageant should you enter? And half the time I tell my clients, I don't think now is the right time to enter a pageant. If you want to, that's great, and I'll support you. But, get your life in order first, or maybe get your mental health in order, and then we can consider doing a pageant. But there are some coaches who are going to be very honest with you. Morgan obviously is one, painfully so. I'm also one. Not all coaches are like that. So just be mindful of that, because the people you surround yourself with are the people you become. And I think being honest and being very self-aware is incredibly important. All right, so that's a whole lot of different things that we're looking for. Yo, Haley.
Hi. So this has never happened to me, but I know of a few stories from title holders where people recorded them on phone calls without their knowledge. So if you are that title holder that's trying to give very honest, helpful feedback, make sure you still trust that person a lot before you get on that phone call, and still filter what you say. Keep it very in the details of what's necessary information. Don't start railing on a system, because
that is wild
situation. Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is.
I know, it's sad, because it's like someone's trying to be honest and help you out here, but you never know if you're being set up. You never know if someone has a phone in their pocket recording when they're talking to you.
That's true.
You know what?
That's not something that's ever happened to me, but I know of it occurring. So just be aware of that. Be careful.
I take it all back. Don't ask any of these contestants. Don't ask none of them. If y'all are going to be sneaky, don't do that crap. But you can call me. I'll tell you.
I would say, I think the easiest way to do this is ask someone who doesn't have a dog in the race. So I make no money. Well, you would say, like, if you coach with me, I make money off of you. So I guess maybe. But still, I really couldn't care less which system you entered, and I couldn't care less whether you do a pageant or not. I want what's best for you, and I want to see good people win. So I will be brutally honest with you, because that's what I want to stand for. That's what I want to be. And I also have a really bad memory, so I don't want to lie to people, because then I have to remember what I told everyone. The only thing I can remember is, I hope I was honest with you, maybe sometimes brutally so, but that's the way I roll. I will say, I think it's illegal to record a phone call without someone's knowledge, so much so that your screen recording will not work if it detects you're on a phone call.
Yeah.
That being said, someone could still do it, send it to someone else, and even if it's not legal, it can still put the cat amongst the pigeons. So, point well taken, Haley. Just ask Morgan.
Illegal just means not admissible in a court of law, guys. So,
but not even at the court of people.
Right.
Wild.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It is wild. Well,
Y'all
I feel like
scare me.
we've had a very educational episode today, starting off with tonsils can grow back, and then I learned what HEMA was, and a lot of other things. So we will begin to move towards our close. Peyton, if you are still there, I don't know because I can't see. But Peyton, what have you? She's there. Okay, what have you got coming up this week?
This week I have a couple more speed painting runs, practicing for Miss Volunteer America. This weekend I think is slightly lighter. I actually have to look at my calendar and refresh my memory on what exactly I have going on this weekend.
Sure.
But tons of prep, getting back into the gym. Thank you, Lord. I'm feeling well enough to start doing that on Monday. And yeah, I mean, just overall prep. I think we're at what? Morgan, you have a countdown, right? How many days?
I do have a countdown. I'd have to pull up.
I think we're at like 80. I think it's
Something
like
that, yeah.
I think we're right at 80 at this
We're
point.
close.
So we're close. We're just gonna keep moving along.
Keep on keeping on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good. But please don't get sick anymore, and don't grow any more tonsils.
Yeah.
This is awkward, isn't it? When
Like,
one
maybe-
person's on audio
Maybe I will.
and all we can see is the expanding circle. That headshot is just like stupidly. I've been watching it the
Fierce.
whole time. It's just
Fierce.
one day
Yes.
maybe it'll look like that. I don't know. Anyway, I wish I could take a photo that looked half that. I got interviewed the other day, and Kat was asking me. She's over here in Australia, and she was holding up the book, and it's my mug on the book cover. And I was just like, oh, I wish I took better photos. Someone needs to teach me how to pose. I really don't know. Because I was like, if I could, I'd probably use AI to make a better photo of myself, and I could get it to look somewhat like what Peyton's got. Anyway, Haley, what have you got coming up this week?
Well, first of all, I still have my tonsils, so there's that. Yeah, I go back to school this week, and I'm working on a project where I'll be interviewing some people in the pageant industry, some contestants for a 20-page essay. So I'm excited about that.
Nice. Good luck with interviewing. It's
Thank
really,
you.
really difficult. It's just have a conversation. Morgan, what have you got coming up this week?
Same old. So we're working and we're snatching baddies and teaching them that they can enjoy ranch, Haley. So working in on the delightful foods, and I'm finally going to get my garage gym set up, put together, so that Mama can start filming workouts again. I've been literally doing what I tell my clients to do. If you don't have access to a gym, which is work out in your living room floor, like you can do something. So I've been working out in the guest bedroom on a yoga mat with carpet. So it'll be very nice to have access to gym again, start getting content, get that looking cutie pie. And what else? I ordered some press-on toenails, so those are coming in.
My
Don't ask why, I just think they
Lord.
look prettier. Don't judge me, but I'm telling you right now, if for some reason, like the idea of going to get a pedicure, low-key, it freaks me out. I'm not trying to dog out any pedicure place, but I'm like, are you cleaning your tools? Are you cleaning the tub? You get what I'm saying? But like, I can't paint my nails pretty. I paint like a 5-year-old. So I got me some press-on toenails getting delivered. I will send y'all feet pics because I know that you're not going to try to make money off of them if I show you. And I'm also canceling my meal delivery service that I've been utilizing now that y'all talked about the Lion King. I was going to make a reel talking about why I was canceling it, but now you're over here talking about the Lion King, and I'm like, let me not piss off any meal prep service companies. But I
You
am
don't have
canceling
$27
it.
million lying around that you want to casually give someone?
I got a lot of student loan debt. Like, do you want that? Like, what? I
Yeah.
mean, help me. But I'm canceling it because Josh and I are super neurotic and we'd been tracking macros and we're seeing a good physiological response. But
Nice.
out of curiosity, we've been getting the same meals and he's been weighing them just out
Yeah.
of curiosity. Yeah.
Mm.
Like on the meat portion, a 1 to a 2 ounce discrepancy of the same meal. So like one burger patty is 6 ounces, the other one is 4.5. Those macros are
Wow.
not
Okay.
reputable.
Okay. Yeah.
So unfortunately, meal prep services aren't looking as good as I was hoping they were. Back to
Yeah.
chicken and turkey.
Yeah. I think if you really are interested in your macros, you have to do it yourself. I don't know if you can really rely on anyone else to do that for you.
It's painful. It sucks though, because you want
It does.
you want
Yeah.
it to be smooth and easy, but like that's just that life be lifing.
Yeah. There's probably reputable companies out there who are more specific with that. I used a prep service over here. Mind you, I didn't measure the macros. Please, when you have that home gym set up, we need a behind the scenes tour. You know how people do office tour? We definitely need a gym tour. So hopefully that's in the cards. Cool. All right. Well, for myself, because I always forget to say I'm getting interviewed myself tomorrow. And then got a whole bunch of coaching clients, and our mock interview session is booked out again this week. It was last week, so that's gathering pace. It's full steam ahead. I think everyone's pageant mad at the moment in a good way, so it's pretty manic, all hands on deck. Aside from that, I think that's about it. Anyone want to say any final words of wisdom before we hang it up for this week? No? Don't make any jokes so you don't get sued for 27 million. So we don't get sued for 27 million. I feel like, Dr. Evil. $27 million. I would love to see the math behind that. Okay? Don't come for me. If anything, that propped up sales. Or people watched or listened to that song more now after hearing the comedian. So I don't understand. But I'm going to thank my lovely crew here, family, for jumping on again this week, especially Peyton. Peyton, are you home now, or are you still in Atlanta?
I am almost home. I'm about 25 minutes away.
Okay, that's a long drive. Well, appreciate you for tuning in. Guys, we will see you next week. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you're a competitive pageant girl and you're after some high-performance pageant coaching, make sure to come and check us out at thepageantproject.com, where you can start your journey for free. In the meantime, follow us on all our socials at The Pageant Project. Speak to you next time.